So I look at the woman and say, things are about to get really interesting. And then a contraction hits, and I'm on the floor on all fours in full-blown, like, stuff is going down mode. And then the elevator doors open. And I know that I have to get in this elevator if I want to get to the birthing unit in time. So I'm on the floor, on all fours, pushing, and managed to crawl into the elevator. I distinctly remember there being an elevator full of people, and a part of my brain thinking this was like hilarious, and a part of my brain just focusing on the contraction thing. So I'm in the elevator, I'm moaning really loudly, I'm pushing, and someone says to Joe, like, okay, so I guess you're going to the second floor, because that's where the birthing unit is. And then the elevator doors open, and again, I'm having another contraction, and I'm pushing again, and I have to crawl again, hands and feet, I crawl out of the elevator on the second floor. Because I know I have to get out before the doors close and the elevator leaves. So I get out, and miraculously there's this wheelchair there. And I later learned that there was a nurse in the elevator with us who, when the doors opened up, she ran into the birthing unit, got a wheelchair, and came back out. So I get into this wheelchair, which was a godsend, and they wheel me into the birthing unit and take me straight into assessment. And Joe goes, "Oh my gosh, Ange, I didn't bring your wallet." So, like, we didn't have any of my ID, but Joe packed everything else. But we get into assessment, and they try to get me on the bed. The nurses were so friendly, but I could not get onto the bed because I was having these contractions so close together and pushing. And they get me onto the bed, and all I can think is, like, they are gonna think that I am crazy and, like, not handling pain well. And I was so afraid that they were gonna check me and go, "Okay, Angela, you're 3 centimeters dilated," and then send me home. Yeah, I didn't know what to think. um, hmm. So on average at our hospital, people go and are sent away from the hospital 4 times. That's the normal. People come in, they get checked, they go home, they come in, they get checked, they get some morphine, they go home. So I get in, I'm on the bed, I'm terrified they're going to tell me I'm 3 centimeters, and the woman checks me and she's like, "Yep, you are like a hair from complete." So I was 10 centimeters. And I was like, I don't know if I've ever been as proud of myself and my body as I was in that moment, because I managed to labor on my own, like in the bathroom, on my own. Joe had to be on the phone the whole time, contacting doulas and packing bags and getting things organized. And I had done it on my own. Like, I got to 10 centimeters, managing contractions. I didn't have any time to take any medication, and I did it. So I later learned that there were no rooms available, but they had nowhere to send us because I was pushing. So the hospital staff, I guess they came to a consensus that they can't send us anywhere, so we got to use one of the new birthing suites, which is great because on our hospital tour, we had seen them and the rooms are really nice, nicely decorated, and they smell like new room. So they wheeled us into the new room, and Joe's like, "Oh baby, you get to have the new room." And then as soon as they got us into the room, I was feeling really confident and I had this renewed sense of energy. They get me onto the bed, and our doulas got there, our doctor got there, there were like 3 other nurses, and I felt really happy. So I got on the bed and I knew that I could move however I wanted to, I could birth however I wanted to, and I had a really good support team that was going to let me do things how I wanted to do them. And so far, I hadn't had a chance to take any like Tylenol or Entanol, like the laughing gas. I hadn't had any morphine. I hadn't had an IV. I hadn't had an epidural. I'd had no chance. And I figured, like, hell, I got this far. Like, let's just keep going. So I was now in the pushing stage. So I'm leaning on the back of the bed, holding the rail, and the doulas are offering me water, and Joe's rubbing my back, and I'm finally getting like the more laid back labor I wanted. And I had said in my labor plan that it was really, really important to me that we keep things lighthearted as much as possible and keep things happy. So, um, yeah, I was even able to like crack a few jokes during labor. Like at some point, um, the doctor asked if she could bring in some extra people to help or something. And I was like, yeah, sure, like bring the whole family, it's all good. And that like got everyone laughing. And then, um, yeah, I just felt like I felt totally lucid, like my normal self, and lighthearted and like just cracking jokes and stuff. And it was really fun because the nurses were like, wow, like here we were thinking things were all serious and like, you seem totally happy. It's all good. Anyways, talk. So, pushing stage. I had been pushing on all fours like I had liked, and then the doula suggested that I try using the squat bar and laying on my back. And I thought that I would hate laying on my back, but I really liked it. And I used the squat bar and started pushing that way. And at first, um, pushing, I wasn't doing it quite right. Like I had learned from Helen, one of the YouTubers, to imagine like someone has two fingers inside of you and then you have to push the fingers out. So I remembered that tip, Helen, and I did that, and that helped a lot. Um, but then the nurses had suggested, oh, when you push, try and hold the baby at the end of a push, and then when you push again during a contraction, keep pushing. And that helped a lot too. And then the nurses had suggested counting to 10, because basically I wasn't pushing for long enough at a time. So they're like, okay, well, try and count to 10. And so we would all count together, like 1, 2, 3, and I would push up to 10, take a breather, hold the baby hold Sam at the same position, and then start pushing again, and push for 10 seconds, take it, and then take a breath, still holding him there, and push another 10 seconds. And this went on for about like an hour and a half. And I did an hour and a half of pushing, and Sam had been, it turns out he was crowned for like an hour. Like his head was there, you could see his hair, but he just wasn't coming out. And I noticed that there were like half a dozen pushes where they said, like half a dozen contractions where they said, okay, this is it, like you're almost there, and like, keep pushing, you can do it. And everyone said like I was doing a great job pushing, and it wasn't that I wasn't trying, it's just that he was just stuck there. So about 12:15 to 12:30, my doctor suggested that we do an episiotomy. And I am very squeamish, terrified of needles and stitches, and I did not want to have an episiotomy. But and my response to the episiotomy was like to promptly yell at our doctor. And I didn't yell at anybody after this. In fact, everyone had commented on how I was like really, really polite. Like anytime I was offered water or anything, I would be like, yes, please, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I just felt like my normal self, which was good. But then oh my God, when the doctor said she wanted to do an episiotomy, I freaked out. Like I jumped back, I like put my hands down there, and I was like, no, like no, we are not doing an episiotomy. I was like, give me one more push, give me one more push. So she gave me like another chance to try and push, but she was like, no, sweetie, we're gonna have to do an episiotomy. So I, although I was like really, really afraid to do an episiotomy, I knew that my doctors had good judgment and I trusted them. So I let her, like on the next contraction, they went ahead, they did the episiotomy, and I let out this like really loud like war cry. And to me it was just like, I wasn't screaming because I was in pain. I was screaming to gear myself up to tolerate the pain better. and it helped. I actually didn't feel the episiotomy very much at all. It wasn't a big deal at all. And then after like a couple more pushes, little Sam was out. Yeah, so Sam was born at 12:45 on November 1st, and they pulled him out and they put Sam on my chest. And he was crying, and he still looked like really cute, had tons of hair. And then I remember like Joe and I looking at each other, and yeah, Joe just had this like um, this face of like, you know, like you did it, and like he's really here. Yeah. Um, um, yeah, it was really, really, it was really crazy. Like, wow, like, he's real, and he's here, and he's crying, and he's healthy. Um, yeah. Yeah, it was a really incredible experience. And um, while I was not planning to do like an all natural labor and delivery, I was also not really planning to use any kinds of interventions. I was just, the whole time I said I just wanted to go with the flow, trust my body, listen to myself, um, keep my mouth relaxed, and just trust my body. And I did it. I trusted my body, and I wound up not really having a chance or not really needing to have any kind of intervention, so, except for the episiotomy. And that's our labor and delivery story. Um, if you have any questions, let me know. And I just want to close on the point that labor in the movies is not what it seems. And for myself, I wound up having only a 7-hour labor that I had to do half of which completely on my own. Um, and the reason I'm like kind of bragging about that is that I really feel like you can do it. Women's bodies were made to have babies, and I'd heard before something like it's, you know, you hear about how it's the most painful thing a woman will ever experience, and it is. It's pretty intense, but it's the kind of pain your body can handle. And if you can go into the experience with a positive state of mind and some tools on how to manage that pain, it's manageable. And I've heard before about how like labor is like the equivalent of a male having his scrotum like pulled up, or his chin, scrotum, his chin pulled up over his head. And that is just not true. Our bodies were made to have babies, and yeah, if you mentally prepare yourself, you can do it. And I would do it again.